Hey, what's up, guys? It's H from the Comeback Sports Podcast, and this is Season 5, Episode 3. It's good to be back in the microphone. I've been kind of getting more of a rhythm of my episodes, doing every 2 weeks, and I've actually been working on another project, which I'll get into later. So I hope everyone's having a good start to their week. It is Monday, August 21st. I'm not going to lie, a little bit of a long work day, but I'm glad to be out here recording. I want to start today's show by congratulating Spain on winning their first Women's World Cup. They had a 1-0 victory against England. So I'm going to go over a few topics here. I'm going to start with the new episode of Winning Time that I watched on HBO Max, or just Max now. Florida State football, Packers preseason game against the Pats, World Championship in Budapest for track and field, and then I'll introduce you to this new project I'm working on. So stay tuned. So starting with the first segment, which is Winning Time, as I mentioned in my last episode, this is an HBO series that talks about the Lakers dynasty in the 80s after they drafted Magic Johnson. For those of you that don't want to be spoiled, I will put a timestamp of what to skip to so you don't get spoiled for this episode. This episode will be episode 3 of Winning Time of season 2. So the episode starts out with Boston winning the 1981 championship in Larry Bird's second season with them. Magic Johnson and Lakers owner Jerry Buss are hungry to go back after that disappointing season where they lost to Houston in the first round of the playoffs. In this episode, we dig into Larry's early personal life, particularly his relationship with his dad, his recruitment to Indiana State, and being drafted to Boston. Magic wants an extension just to show that he is cared about and he's not going to be pushed aside. But the Lakers are not sure if they can pay him or deal with his lack of leadership because Magic Johnson in this time seems to kind of think about himself, and they don't know if he's mature enough to get that extension. However, Jerry, the owner, wants to give him the deal of his life but kind of keep it under the ropes and not give away all the details. Jerry gets back with his old flame Honey, who he reconnected with in the second episode, and his daughter, Jeannie Buss, still feels that she's not being taken seriously with her business ambitions. So she really tries hard to get his approval and to show that she is all in on being a business tycoon just like her dad. The head coach of the Lakers, Paul Westhead, hires another assistant head coach, Pat Riley, who a lot of people know who he became, doesn't feel like he's trusted anymore. Eventually, Westhead vents to Riley and tells him that he feels that he oversteps and the players respect him more. And particularly, he was working with Magic on the side and pretty much was telling him to be his own man, and which actually led to him trying to make the game-winning shot that resulted in missing. So I think in Westhead's eyes, because Riley's overstepping in that front, he has no control over the team and therefore the outcome of what the season he wants to happen is. It's a lot of back and forth in terms with all these people in the Lakers organization in terms of egos, money, and then sort of also just kind of understanding yourself throughout this whole process. My thoughts of the second season is it's a little slow compared to the first season, but I still enjoyed a lot. I think it gets a bad rep because some of the players that are depicted are kind of depicted as not so great people. And, if I had to show about myself, I definitely wouldn't want it to highlight all the bad things about me. And I feel like that's kind of what's going on, especially for Magic Johnson, because he's just like this kid who just definitely wants to be the Showtime and get all the attention and glory, which is understandable when you're a young player. I mean, if I was in that position of sort of celebrity status, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm kind of like that too. But I'm glad I'm not at that point because I could not handle fame as well as other people could. Let's go on to the next topic, which is college football, in particular Florida State. I know it's a little strange. I normally don't talk about Florida State actually ever on this show, but they caught my attention for this main reason. According to the AP poll that came out this month, Florida State was ranked 8th in the poll. Thinking about it, it kind of makes sense. I'm looking at their previous records here. In 2021, they had a 5-7 record. Not really that impressive. But then last year in 2022, they finished the season with a 10-3 record. So they're on an upward trend. This is Mike Norvell's fourth season at FSU, and their dynamic offense is pretty much back at full capacity. Virtually all of its production is back. You got your quarterback, Jordan Travis. You got your running back, Trey Benson. Receiver, Johnny Wilson. Plus a potential top 15 NFL pick and defensive end, Jared Verse. So a lot of talent is retained, and it's probably going to be the same as last year with a 10-plus winning record. The hardest games in their schedule are LSU and Clemson. If FSU can beat both of those teams, they have a shot for a New Year's Six Bowl and a potential ACC title, maybe even a playoff spot if they go undefeated. And another reason why this caught my attention is what has changed in the ACC, the conference that Florida State plays in. This year, they will now be scrapping divisions. So this actually opens up a huge door for FSU because before, they were in a division with Clemson. Everyone knows Clemson is always the best in the ACC for 10-plus years. But now they can go to a conference championship and not have to worry about Clemson stopping them to get to that championship game. And if that were to happen last year, the argument could have been they probably would have been the ACC championship against Clemson. So I'll be watching Florida State a little bit more closely this season. Just a quick recap of the Packers. Aaron Rodgers left the Packers to go to the New York Jets. But now his backup quarterback, Jordan Love, is now the starting quarterback. And there were some doubts if he was going to be ready or if he really is that good. But he actually had a pretty decent game against the Pats in the preseason game. The game ended early due to an on-the-field injury. However, Love didn't do too bad. He was 5 for 8 for 85 yards. He threw a TD pass to Jaden Reed and had a very clean pocket from his O-line. And that was without David Bakhtiari, too. So he is definitely looking more confident, and Matt LaFleur might not even let him play next week just because he's that confident as well. So I'm rooting for Love as a Packers fan, and I hope that he can at least be, ready to be the starting quarterback. I don't expect him to be MVP or anything, or even go to the playoffs. I just want him to have a good first year as a starter. So this month is World Championships in Budapest for track and field. I'm going to give my predictions for the middle distance races that will be coming up this week. So today is Monday, the 21st, and most of these races won't happen until closer to the weekend. But first off, I do want to congratulate the 10K champions. I want to congratulate the entire team of Ethiopia. They went on a 1-3 women's sweep in that event alone. That's just unbelievable. And then for the men's side, Joshua Cheptogi, he won the men's 10K. So congrats to all the race runners in that event. So I'll start with the 1500, work my way down to the 4, the 8, and that'll be it. So here's kind of my watch list for the 1500 meter. On the women's side, I got Faith Kipyegon, Laura Muir, Safan Hassan, and then my dark horse pick here is Derived Walteji. So I'm going to have to go with Safan Hassan. I know it's crazy. If you guys heard me before, I actually had my pick being Faith Kipyegon, but Safan is looking very good in terms of how her recent races have been, and actually had a decent race in the semis. And she's just elite. She's very versatile and super good shape. And personally, I'm a little biased because I just like her that much based on the Olympic Games I saw her racing. But I'm going to go with her as my 1500 meter pick for the women's side. For the men's side, 3 racers I'm going to be watching closely is Yar Nagusi, Josh Kerr, and Jakob Ingebrigtsen. I think the easiest pick here is going to be Ingebrigtsen. The kid's elite. He has disproved me countless times in terms of when he's going to burn out, and I don't see any signs of that yet. Coming off of an Olympic championship, he's going to do business as usual in this 1500 meter. For the 400 meter on the women's side, On my watch list, I have Leaky Claver, Talitha Diggs, who's running for USA, Natalia Kasmeric. I think it's pronounced it. I don't know. Please don't judge me. And then my pick for this race will be Mare Lady Polimo. And then for the men's side, I got Wade Van Niekerk, Karani James, and then USA runner Quincy Hall. My pick for the 400 is going to be Van Niekerk. And the 800 side of things, the women's start list hasn't been announced yet. At least when I'm looking at the events online. But I think my obvious pick is going to be a Ting Mo now. A Ting Mo. Recently, it was speculated that she wasn't going to run the 800 at the World Championships to rest for the Olympics. And now, all of a sudden, she is running it. So I'm not sure what happened. Hopefully she's not running injured. But either way, she's just that good, and I trust that she's going to take care of business like Ingebrigtsen. On the men's side of things, the runners that I want to keep my eye on are Emmanuel Wanyama, Jamel Dijadi, Bryce Hopel, who's representing USA, and then my pick for this race is going to be Emmanuel Career. But AJ, he hasn't really run that good. True, he hasn't really done anything spectacular, but I've seen him come on top when it matters most. I see him won NCAAs. I've seen him won a previous World Championship. I also saw him won the Olympics. I think it won't be an easy win for him, but I trust that he's going to step up when it matters. That's all I really have for today's episode. I want to introduce this project I'm working on. So I have a buddy. His name is Brandon, and he wanted to start a sports betting podcast. He needed a little help, so I offered to do a couple episodes with him. So if you like sports and you like betting, then this is a project to keep an eye on. So you can find this podcast under Better Edge, better as in OR, not ER. Trust me, I made that mistake before. And you can check out me and Brandon's first episode that came out this week. Here's a quick clip of the episode, and I'll also have a link in the description for the actual YouTube channel. So enjoy. The NFL season's coming up. We're in preseason mode right now. Almost everyone has played, including the rookies that have been drafted this year. Mm-hmm. So what I'll do is kind of I'll do a breakdown of some rookies that have been, been on the media's eye. So I'll start with Jackson Smith-Njigba, who plays for Seattle. In his debut game, he had 3 receptions for 25 yards. And then you have Jamar Gibbs, who now plays for Detroit, played for Alabama. Really good, by the way. 6 carries for 19. CJ Stroud plays for Houston, 50% completion percentage, 13 yards and interception. So nothing really.
Really bad interception, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah, nothing really worth noting. And then you got Anthony Richardson, QB for Indy, 58% completion, 67 yards, but also an interception. But breaking news, he will be the starter on week 1.
Yes, he will.
So I'm happy for him. I wish him the best because, Colts QBs usually have the short end of the stick.
Yeah, especially the last couple of years.
Yes.
They have been really bad.
Bryce Young, probably the most notable quarterback. He's also the first overall pick, plays for Carolina Panthers. Not a bad performance, 67% completion for 21 yards. And I did watch the Hard Knocks episode where he was featured in it with the joint practice and the preseason game against the Jets. Seems like a pretty nice guy, based on the conversations that I saw on the documentary show. But I like him the most in terms of the quarterbacks selected. Just more polished. Sure, the height thing's an issue, but remember, Kyler Murray was probably arguably shorter than him, but he won Offensive Rookie of the Year. So that leads me to my actual main point of this segment here as the best odds for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And right now you have Bijan Robinson plus 300. Bijan Robinson hasn't yet played in the preseason. He plays for the Atlanta Falcons, but he will make his debut this weekend against the Cincinnati Bengals. So I kind of want to give my thoughts of kind of what I would want to look for in terms of making my pick for the offensive rookie of the year. And there's three kind of categories to fall. What's their playing time like? Are they going to be a day one starter? Are they going to be RB2 or wide receiver 2 or quarterback 1? And how supported are they? So this includes who their head coach is, what their O-line looks like, and what are the weapons around them look like. So that can go from QB to receiver to tight end, everybody. And then the last one is the boom bust potential. So this is where you kind of have to look at how they've been doing in not only the preseason but practice, but what their kind of their trend has looked like in college as well. So
and if they're hype or not, like
if
too
they're
much
hype
hype
or
or
not,
not. Yeah.
that's very true. So Bijan Robinson, he fits into pretty much all three of these sort of segments that are categories I mentioned. He's going to be RB1 right off the bat. Like he's in the depth chart as the first option. He's going to get a lot of carries, a lot of showtime moments for him. So his playing time is going to, you'll see a lot more production out of him. In terms of how he's supported, so his head coach is Arthur Smith, who's really not a notable coach. However, there's one thing I found very interesting about his resume. He's very offensive minded. With his 2 seasons with Tennessee, he was the offensive coordinator. That was when they had Derrick Henry. And so if he's able to work with Derrick Henry, who is arguably one of the best running backs in the league, especially in those 2 seasons that Smith was there, he maybe can find some potential or some production with this new shiny toy, which is Bijan Robinson. And this is the stat that I like the most. Oh, not necessarily a stat, but it's a ranking. So PFF made their list for preseason O-line rankings, and Atlanta falls in 7th place in terms of the rankings. If you have a good O-line, you have a good foundation for success. Not only the quarterback position, but the running back position, because that O-line has to get you the right position to make sure you do some damage. Because if your O-line can't protect the quarterback, the running back, you're not going to get very far. So it gives me a little confidence that Bijan can be productive and trust his O-line to help him get the yards he needs to win this award. And look at his quarterback. It's Desmond Ridder.
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder. I like Desmond Ridder. I think he's a nice guy. He works hard, but he's very limited in terms of his skill at the quarterback position. And so his arm talent's not the greatest. So he'll probably have to lean more towards Bijan Robinson to really carry the load, whether it's giving him the ball or simple screen passes, because Bijan Robinson can catch, which leads to my last thing is the boom bust potential. He's the 8th overall pick, first running back taken in the top 10 since Saquon Barkley. And we know Saquon Barkley, he is a beast, just as any Hawkeye fan. And looking at Bijan's college statistics, all 3 seasons he's played, he's averaged over 6 yards per carry. And back-to-back seasons, he had 1,000-plus yards, which isn't very easy to do. And this goes on to us saying about him being able to catch 15-plus receptions each season at Texas. Like, the running back position has changed. It's not the 90s where your only job as a running back is to just run the ball down. You got to be able to be a multi-purpose weapon, which is to run the ball and make some catches. So Desmond Ridder has to depend on him for those screen passes that he probably is going to have to be thrown to him. So that's why I think this pick for offensive rookie of the year is almost a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, no, I like it. I remember seeing a stat not too long ago. I think this is last year maybe, but about the Falcons' offensive line. So when you brought up like them being 7th ranked preseason, it didn't really surprise me because I remember seeing that they had, I think it was either last year or the year before, all 5 starters on the offensive line were first-round draft picks. And they were, at the time, the only line that had 5 first-round draft picks on their offensive line. And I was just looking it up. A couple of them are still there, like Jake Matthews and Chris Lindstrom. They currently have 3 first-rounders, 1 second-rounder, and a 4th-rounder as their projected starters. But still, I mean, that stuff helps a ton, especially if they've proven to give good results, because, I mean, I hate talking about the Vikings offensive line outside of the 2 tackles because we have drafted offensive line pretty high, pretty consistently, and not a lot of them have really panned out. And so that's where it's like the first round thing doesn't really always matter, but a lot of times it does because a lot of the times those guys are standouts in college for a reason. And a lot of like their play transitions to the NFL pretty well as well. Also, in case you're curious, the Falcons and Bengals are playing right now, and Bijan has 4 carries for 20 yards so far.
Oh,
One catch for 6 yards. So he's already getting targets. I mean, like you said, that's probably not going to be the majority of what he does, but he can catch out of the backfield. So, and he's going to need to. I mean, pretty much every running back outside of Derrick Henry, which he does a little bit, but pretty much every other running back is having to catch out of the backfield just based off of how teams are approaching like offenses now.
I hope you enjoyed the clip. I had a lot of fun doing this with Brandon. I can't wait to do another episode with him. So if you're interested in this kind of content, then what I recommend you do is not only to subscribe to this channel that I'm doing this project on, but to also join the Discord community where you can get all the latest picks in sports betting. Brandon, his friends that he works with, post daily. And so there's lots of other people that are interested in sports betting too for you to connect with as well. So that's it for today's episode, guys. Thank you again for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you have a good rest of your week. So to remember, this is the Comeback Sports Podcast, and make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Every little bit helps. I will see you guys next episode, and take care.